Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to today's live typing. Now, the person we're going to be typing is Anita Moorjani, and she is apparently some motivation speaker, so that's going to be interesting. I might have some things to say about her message as well as her type, just plain old typing her. So, as I'm supposed to be saying at the beginning of every video, I'm going to put her actual official type in the description, and the goal of this, the value that this video has for you, is to watch me making mistakes and mainly making mistakes. So I want you to be able to know when I'm making a mistake so you can learn, because making mistakes is the best way to learn. As you can see from different videos, including Veritasium's channel, he has a whole theory about learning through making mistakes. So I think that's for me the value that you're supposed to be getting out of this. Watch me make mistakes in typing so that you don't have to make them again. Okay, that's it. I don't really have much to say about last week's typing. 2 days ago's typing. So I think we're just going to go straight in, Anita. So let's see. What have we got? Oh, also there is no hint today. So it's full on black and white. You're right or you're wrong all the way. No hints. Not that the hints have been helping me that much, to be honest, because it usually has thrown me off on another coin. So I was like, oh, well, this coin is this. Well, I guess that means this coin should change. And then that one actually turned out to be wrong. So I think on average, I don't know how much it helped me, but it's definitely an interesting exercise. Right, on with the show. Let's see. Anita. So she looks kind of Indian looking. Maybe. Just describing what I can see. I wonder what she sounds like. Well, her name set looks Indian. At least her family name. Buddha. Okay, Buddha. So that's more Tibetan, but I don't think she's Tibetan. She looks more Tibetan's more slanty eyes, isn't it? Okay, well that's not what we're here for, to know where she's from geographically. Let's see, be yourself. So something I've been processing is two things. Firstly, it's important to talk about the person's message. I think it's useful to address the person's message before you start going into their type, because sometimes their message is not directly type related. It's actually something that they've managed to see in reality. So it's worth, especially all these alphas, it's worth going over that. But once we've gone over that, then we can put it aside and really look at just the type. So abstract anything informational about what they're saying. That's one. Secondly, I've been wondering about, maybe this is my demon FE, but how respectful it is to type someone. Because I was sort of thinking people in the Facebook comments will often just outright throw their guess at someone's type, even when they haven't asked for it. Like they write a post, and then someone's like, oh, well, you must be this. And I'm thinking, isn't that kind of rude? And I felt that as well. Anyway, different typing videos where it's just like, okay, this person must be this. Because basically what you're doing when you're typing is you're exposing someone's flaws. And I feel like doing that so blatantly is just, I can't explain it otherwise than saying it's kind of rude. Because disrespectful. You're not first accepting the person as a whole, as the way they are first. You're saying, oh, this, they suck here and they suck here and they suck here. So I don't know, maybe I want to do like a ceremonial uh, pre pre-typing. I just come up with this just right now, but pre-typing of like, I love you, I accept you, you are enough, and for the benefit of humanity, I will observe you, not as a criticism, but as a state of reality. Thank you for giving me your information. I don't know, I just came up with that on the top of my head. But I feel like there's missing a bit of humanity in this whole OP story. It's like treating people like, you know, smartphones or whatever. It's like, I'll just look at your coins, boom, boom, boom. There's not enough soul. Right, well, without further ado, that was a lot of ado, wasn't it? Near-death experience. Oh my god. Okay, let's just watch this one.
And I know that many of you know the story of my near-death experience, but I will give you what I really want to do is dive into some of the things I experienced on the other side and some of the things that I learned from it, which is what has helped me to live my life here after coming back.
It's funny she's calling it a near-death experience. Clinically, what you'd say is, distracted. That was a distracting point. I was going to talk about how you can't really die and live again because your brain is not physically dead if it manages to perk up again. But that's besides the point. It just immediately rings off NF hippie to my mind to be talking about this kind of subject, but it could be completely not NF.
So there is a lot about my NDE on my website and on the internet, and there's a TED Talk. So I don't want to give you a lot of the stuff that's already out there and available. I want to make this a little bit different for the conference participants. I want to give you stuff that's not publicly available, things that I don't normally talk about. That's what I'd rather do over here. But you heard a synopsis of the fact that from Debbie that I had end-stage lymphoma. I had end-stage cancer and I was dying. I was on my deathbed and the doctors said I won't even make it through the night. And I went into a coma. And in this coma is when I experienced the other side. And some of the most beautiful things that happened to me is, number one, is that I felt my dad was there to greet me because I was aware that my body was dying. And my body, up to that point, had been in so much pain and so much fear and so much discomfort. But now in the coma, I was outside of my body and I felt amazing. All the pain was gone, the fear was gone, the discomfort was gone. I just felt incredible. I really felt incredible. I felt free, and weirdly, even though my body was dying, I felt alive, like liberated, alive and free. It was just the most incredible feeling I can ever describe. And I was able to see my physical body lying there on that hospital bed, but my body looked so small and insignificant compared to how I was now feeling. And I became aware that I was surrounded by other beings, and these other beings were here to help me and to welcome me and to comfort me on the other side. And one of them was my dad. And my
Okay, so far, she's only been describing what she saw. And I'm waiting for her conclusion, right? But it doesn't seem like she has a message of what it means. Yeah, I mean, she hasn't. Well, what is she saying? What is she actually getting at? She's just saying, "Oh, I saw my dad, and there was all these loving people, and it was an amazing feeling." But what is the message? What is the conclusion? So that is hinting S to me, hinting sensory dominant. Because, yeah, you're giving all the details. Giving details. What's the conclusion? S? Question mark.
Dad and I had a turbulent relationship while I was growing up. But here on the other side, all I felt from my dad was this beautiful, pure, unconditional love. It was the most incredible feeling ever. Like just this beautiful, pure love. It was like we didn't need to speak to each other to communicate. He was pure essence and I was pure essence. And it was like I just knew everything he wanted me to know. While I was growing up, I never felt that much love from my dad because, partly because of our culture, he was always very stoic. He was always very restrained with his emotions. He was not forthcoming with showing love and sentiment.
Okay, something else I'd say is she's not worried about sounding whooshy, meaning she's not defending her view of reality and sort of trying to make sure it's ST accurate, like in line with reality. She's very comfortable with saying this is my experience, and there you go. So there's very little about, oh, well, clinically this is the explanation that can be given to this kind of experience, and therefore I will conclude that I was in this state due to my brain in being in this. It's like, can you understand what I'm saying? Not defending her not defending the rationality of her experience. F. Now, either that's F or it's not TI. I haven't quite gone around to seeing clearly what the difference is between having demon TI and having not TI, as in FITE versus FETI. Demon, savior. That's going to come with more experience, just by observing. But she's not trying to be. She's not trying to be right. Basically, she's not worried about being right, which could also be not info. Could also be not info. Okay.
And things like that. He never was. He was extremely strict. And now here on the other side, all I felt from him was pure, unconditional love. It was just the most beautiful thing. And he didn't even have to speak it or say anything. I just felt it and knew it. What I realized is that when we're on the other side, we don't need to communicate. In fact, we don't have any biology. So we don't need to speak things with words. We just know things. We know what each other are feeling.
Okay, so she, I'm wondering like what's the conclusion? So maybe the conclusion is as straightforward as this is the afterlife. I experienced the afterlife, and this is it, and I'm telling you. And a lot of people try to defend it or defend the rationality of such a beweging. Fucking languages. I've got languages coming out of the wazoo, but I can't speak one properly. You know, there's all these thinker arguments, if you're not aware of them, about if you're not clinically dead, like your brain has stopped making connections, you know, firing neurons, then your brain has activity, even if it's unconscious, even if you're in a coma, there is activity in the brain. So as soon as you're dead, there's no more activity, then there's nothing left. So obviously then you're dead, and there is no, well, I think I might be losing some of you now if I say there's no afterlife. There isn't. But so anyone who's had a death experience, what they're relating is what their unconscious brain was firing at an extreme point of their body's life cycle. You know, it's like at the edge. But it's necessarily inspired by the person's life. So some people will see a dark tunnel because they've been told that that's what some people see. So, you know, it's inspired. And then you'll have all these other experiences just based on whatever your psychology is and what your experience was. So the conclusion that you would come out of is not this was what it feels like to be dead. However, you could say this is what it feels like to when your brain thinks it's dying, and so you could actually make it real in that sense. So and maybe it feels like an eternity while you're just at the edge of dying. So maybe that's no different from eternal life after death. It's just the experience at the edge could feel like it lasts for a long time. And so that could be worth relating. Anyway, whatever it is, she's not defending that. So for me, that's like not tea, like not worried about tea.
Feeling and thinking. And it's almost like our essences merge with each other and we just feel what the other person wants us to feel. The interesting thing was I felt I could even merge with the essences of the people who were still alive. My mom, my brother, my husband, they were all in physical form and they were surrounding my body in that hospital room around my bed. And I was able to feel what they were feeling. And every part of me wanted them to know that they had nothing to be concerned about because I was fine. I was totally fine, and I felt better than I'd ever felt before. I felt more alive than I'd ever felt in physical life before. As I continued on that other realm, I even met my best friend who had crossed over 2 years prior. My dad had crossed over 10 years prior. So it felt so good to be reunited with people who I had loved and lost. And I felt like I was surrounded by loving beings, but I didn't recognize all of them. Maybe I knew some of them from other lifetimes. Maybe some of them had never reincarnated. Maybe some of them had never incarnated, and I just knew them because they were my guides and guardian angels. Maybe I just knew them from the other realm itself. But I just felt incredible. As I journeyed even further into that realm, I started to understand things that I didn't understand while I was here. And one of the things that I understood was why I had the illness. I understood how it came to be that every thought and every decision that I'd made during my lifetime had contributed to me being there on that hospital bed dying.
Okay, did you hear that? That was literally I discovered N. I discovered Y. So, discovered. That's a pretty clear cut. Demon N. No? If it's not, you know, and I'm learning something. Okay. What else? Now I feel like she's very blasty and sleepy. She's quite blasty and sleepy and energy dom. Seems blasty and sleepy. Why, do you ask? Why? Well, she's very calm and she's sort of droning on. It's not extremely boring. It's not boring to listen to, but it sort of goes on and doesn't really end anywhere. Which I guess some people would say is Demon Blast, because Demon Blast you don't know where you're going, or play above Blast. See, all these interpretations.
I understood how I was actually one facet of divinity or God or the universe or whatever we want to call it. We all are a facet and an expression of the universe or divinity, every single one of us. And I realized that during my lifetime, I had forgotten. I had completely forgotten. And while I was there on that realm, I also realized that I was loved unconditionally. I was loved
Yeah, she said that
unconditionally
already.
by every soul and every spirit in the universe, and that we all are. And I realized that we are love expressing ourselves. And I had forgotten. In fact, all of us know this before we're born, but sometimes life causes us to forget. And during my lifetime, I had forgotten. I had and I had forgotten how powerful we are. We are all extremely powerful and extremely loved, but sometimes this world strips that away from us. While I was there, I realized that I was more powerful than I had ever been led to believe. And I understood that I had lived a life of fear, that I had made all my decisions through my lifetime based on fear. I had made all my choices based on fear. And many of these fears were along the lines of a fear of not being good enough, a fear of disapproval from other.
Fear of not being good enough, fear of disapproval. Those are decider fears. And and I would say also DE fears. Fear of what other people think. Disapproval. Not being good enough. Disapproval and not being good enough. Okay. So.
People, a fear of not being liked. And I also feared things happening to me, a fear of illness. I always felt like a victim.
Fear of illness. I was, for some reason, the first time she said fear, I was thinking OI fear. So meaning fear of the unknown, fear of novelty, fear of novelty, like fear of being surprised by uncontrollable things. But then she started talking about people.
I'd grown up being bullied, and so I felt things in life just happen to you. So I always felt like we were vulnerable to random things happening to us. And it was while I was on the other side that I realized nothing is random. We all have a part to play in co-creating our life here. Everything, including who we marry and who we meet and when we die or when we get ill. Even the day we die, it's not completely random. We have a part to play in our own death. And certain things and choices we make can change it, but we come here with an intention to fulfill certain things. We come here with a purpose, and we come here intending to fulfill our purpose. And so I realized at that point that it wasn't my time to die. And even though I realized it wasn't my...
I'm thinking now, I said she's discovered the connection between things. And that for me seemed like Demon N. But if you look at this video, You've got a butterfly here. The video quality is quite low. It's like, not a crisp image. She's wearing this pendant and all this. It's telling me N again. So was her discovery just even more savior N? Like, I've been in a savior state, paying attention to connections my whole life, and finally at the end I found the connection. I made the ultimate connection, like NI. If I was saying, because I was saying OI, I'm just getting an OI feeling. Fear of chaos. So maybe she discovered the ultimate N.
My time to die, I also realized that I had a choice. I wasn't, so I basically had a choice of whether to come back into this physical body or continue in that realm. When I was presented with that choice, no part of me wanted to come back into my physical body. because my body was sick and dying, and I had been suffering and struggling. So why would I want to come back? And it was so incredible and beautiful on that side. But it was at that point that I was made to understand by everybody around me, all the souls around me. I was made to understand that now that I knew the truth of what caused the disease, and now that I knew the truth of how powerful I am and how powerful we all are, that if I chose to go back into my body, that my body would heal, and it would heal very, very quickly. And so it was at that point that I made the decision to come back into my body. And it was at that point that I felt my dad and my best friend say to me, now that you know the truth of who you truly are, go back and live your life fearlessly. And in those moments after they said that, I started to come out of the coma, and I started to wake up in the hospital with my family members around me. That message of go back and live your life fearlessly, what that meant to me was go back and be yourself fearlessly. I had never allowed myself to be who I am in my whole life. I had always grown up to please other people. I was taught to please other people, especially because of the culture I'm from. My parents are Hindu. I come from an Indian background, Indian by ethnicity. And I was always taught to be subservient, especially to the men around me. In our culture, a woman's value a woman is only worth how valuable she is to the men around her in her culture. So I had to make myself valuable to the men around me. So as I was growing up, I had to obey my dad, and I was being groomed for an arranged marriage because eventually I would have to make myself valuable to my future husband. That was basically how I had grown up. And I rebelled against all of that because I wanted to be free, but yet I constantly found myself being tied down by my culture and my community and the people around me. I didn't want an arranged marriage, but everybody around me was having arranged marriages. So I felt there was something wrong with me. And I wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to work and be independent and make my own money and not be dependent on a man to support me. But
She wanted to travel the world because I'm thinking NI now, and I'm wondering, is it observer or decider? Because I said she mentioned these decider fears, but she could be an observer. It would, I mean, you know, this culture she's talking about, I think an observer or a decider would both have this kind of the similar experience of what she's talking about, you know, of talking about the decider game with regards to it. It's a lot of pressure. So I'm wondering, is it like a huge thing, or is it okay? And I'm feeling like she's okay, really, but what she's really wants to talk about is what she discovered, is the reality, you know, is the observer discovery she made. But now she just mentioned something. She wants to travel the world. She didn't like this culture of arranged marriages, which everyone else was doing. So she is that FI then? Like, I don't want to go along with that. Or is it OE? I don't like being controlled. Wants to travel world. OE hates control, or FI not what I like. Because I was already going up for NIFE, you know, talking about having to do, you know, she mentioned with her fear, the disapproval being not good enough was the fears she stated. So that's why I was like, oh, well, DE. But now what she's saying makes me think DI / OE. So we're back to square zero.
All of these things were frowned upon in my culture. I was made to feel that all of these things made me less desirable. Especially it made me less desirable as a woman and less desirable for marriage. So I basically had to really...
Less desirable for marriage as a woman. Like, she's just glossing over these facts. She's just stating it as it is. I think it's observer. Glossing over decider issues. Being desirable, gender identity. So I might type her as observer, and I'm inclined to type a F. So that's two things. Masculine N, just stereotypically doubly not caring about S. Or savior S, but feminine S and masculine N, masculine demon N, also possible.
Press myself and make myself small to fit into the culture. Eventually, though, I rebelled and I ran away from an arranged marriage, and I met my current husband. And although he is amazing, he is absolutely the best person ever who stuck with me through my illness. One of the things that happened was that I felt extremely inadequate in my life because I felt like I had done something wrong. I felt like there was something wrong with me because I didn't fit into my culture and because of all the things that I'd done. I always felt very guilty for that. And so I never felt good enough. And I always felt like I had to prove myself constantly to get other people's approval and to justify my behavior. So
it's contradictory. She's talking about, since the beginning, she's been talking about what she felt. What I felt when I was on the other side. What I felt while I grew up. But she's saying, I felt that I had to prove myself. So it's DI, but DE. But she's reporting this. Now, could it be that I know I'm enough, but everyone around me keeps saying I have to prove it. And it's like, I don't have to prove it. I am already. Was she projecting? I'm not seeing it clearly.
So over the years, that wore down at me. And every decision I would make was to make myself, to avoid disappointing other people. But what I do want to remind you is that you are not a victim. You're not a victim of life. You're not a victim of circumstances. You co-create it. But our five sensory paradigm, our three-dimensional world, the paradigm, the dominant belief is that we are victims. And I'm not just talking about the pandemic that's going on out there, but that is the dominant belief that we've always had. That's the dominant belief we've always grown up with, that we are the victim of our circumstances. Now, I don't want to make you feel that it's your fault if you have circumstances that you can't control. It is not your fault that who you were, what family you were born into, or what socioeconomic status you were born into. It is not your fault if you're dealing with an illness or if you're grieving. It's not your fault. But you can take responsibility for your life moving forward from here on. You can take responsibility to change your life. You are never a victim of your present moment and your future from this moment moving forward. You're never a victim. So don't allow any kind of teaching or dominant paradigm convince you that you are a victim. When I came back,
she just rolls on. So ends a point, and rolls on. It feels like blasty. Blast again. She's not slowing down, you know, she's been talking non-stop for 16 minutes and she's, you know, she could carry on, not a problem. I'm having trouble even starting. Click, start recording. So what does it mean, what she's saying? I don't know. You tell me. You know what her type is. Tell me, what is it? Is it S or N? Is she Saviour Sensory, discovered the N? But I mean, she's got a fucking butterfly there. And she's talking about it. You're not a victim of your circumstance. You can take control of your future. You co-create your own life. You take what you've been given and you make what you want with it. You're not a victim. So what kind of a discovery is that? You're not a victim. Has she sort of owned her identity somehow? Where she's like, maybe it is DE, and just sort of all the time thinking, oh my God, what do others want? Or has she discovered her saviours and like finally embraced the FI, like you're allowed to do what you like? I want to say FITE axis because she so isn't worried about being right. She's just giving out her tips on how to conceptualize your life. Could she be TE? Got to say that just in case she is. Could she be TE? I felt this. I felt that. I felt like I had to do what everyone else said. For some reason, I feel like I'm going to fuck this one up. Like, royally. I'm not feeling confident about her type now. Great content, isn't it? I want to watch more of Adam not knowing what the fuck he's doing. Yes, please make 100 more of these videos. I'm learning. We're learning, guys. You're learning. I'm learning. We're all learning how to not type, so that eventually we'll mess it up so hard that we'll figure it out. Just type in the last way we think of. Oh well, not this way, not this way, not this way, not this way. Well, I guess it must be this way by default. Hopefully learn some nice things on the way. Typing's hard, guys, because you have to have processed so much already, pre-processed it. Do the monkey naps. I'm processing every day, all the time. I feel like I've already made so much progress, and I'm still have a ton of shit to process. I'm like, when's it gonna end? I'm already at level 0.3. When am I going to reach 0.5? But there's still a lot. Anyway. And so much extra to process. You know, you need to process your fucking worldview, like religion. People who are still believing in religion, I'm like, you have, like, it's a whole extra difficult level. You're starting off with a handicap. Obviously, you still have to process religion, even if you haven't been brainwashed with it when you were a kid. But I feel like it's less challenging. Like Dave and Shan they started off like literally Christians and literally gay bashing fucking determinists. No, determinist is good. What's it called? Creationist. And that's all that worldview you have to process and let it go of. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I didn't have to do that. Jesus. But even once you've done that, you've still got a lot left to go. So yeah, people are surprised why they're not making much progress with typing. It's like, well, dude, it's no laughing matter. You're trying to see reality and you just want to learn it in a year. Talking to myself here. I like these little side tangents. I make these videos for the side tangents. Now, I need to practice blasting these things because I have all these thoughts that I've come up with, and I've never properly expressed them because I'm shit at talking. So, good to have an outlet. That's the main reason I'm making these videos, not to fucking learn how to type. Well, there's a lot of benefits. Let's go. Okay, so what am I sure? Let's make a sort of a bilan. What am I going for? I'm going for observer, is what I'm going for so far. I'm going for energy. Like, I'm probably not going to change my mind on that one. I still could be wrong. I'm just saying at this point. N or S? N. A blast. Blast. So not OE and DI. Not this. Could she be play, burst, play, blast, sleep, consume? Other people. So that's the trouble with these ultra quick typings. I've watched 15 minutes of one video. But the thing is, the fact is, her type is here. Her type is in this 15-minute video. It's that. You could find it. But I'm just not good enough at typing yet to see it. I am good enough at typing. I can see people in real life. The type I can see the most clearly is the IPs for the moment. IP is pretty clear because I am IP meaning lead DI, one DI. I can see that when I'm interacting with people in real life. On videos it's harder, but thing is, in real life you can also throw things at them and see. Not in a manipulative way, mind you. Just you can test. You could do that. I don't test, but I can predict how someone's going to react. Like when someone tells an IP like, "Oh, you're wrong about this," or "Oh, this is not. Oh, you didn't do good on this thing." Just like, I'm just telling you, you didn't do good on this, and it's like, "Oh no, but it's not my fault because this." That will be their first reaction, and it's just so predictable. It's not even funny. I mean, no, it's so predictable. It's funny, but it's so predictable also that it can't bother you anymore. It's so predictable and it's so non-surprising that you can roll with it. You're like, just ignore that. Like, I know that's what you think. Let's get on to real business. So I'm not going to let you have, because they know they do this. People know their type really. Some people do. Okay, some people are very unconscious, but a lot of lead DIs will tell you, oh, if you say, okay, enough talking about how you're right and you're the best, let's get on to this. And they'll be like, yes, thank you for helping me get out of this, because I do this. But it doesn't mean they're going to stop doing it. They do it all the time. But they don't take it personally if you tell them, like, without judging, okay, conclusion, you're great, fine, let's do this. If you're going to say it without judging, they don't mind, because they know that they do it. Anyway, so the 1DI types, I can see that. I have a couple of people. It's 1 in 4 people. 25% of the population has lead DI, IP. 25%. So there's a lot of people, among all of your friends. A lot of people. Gather around a table, there's 5 of you, one of them is going to be a 1DI, and you're going to see it come up during a conversation. They'll be talking about how me and I have this conflict with someone and it's not my fault. That's what they're going to tell you. And everyone's going to go, oh yes, I understand, it's difficult. And then someone else is going to have an observer freak out. It's pretty standard. If you can see it, and if you can manage to not be freaked out, because I'm still processing my own freak out, my observer freak outs, they're the worst, because I've got judgment towards people present here I'm talking to, I judge you, and that's my freak out as well. So you don't want to hear me when I'm freaking out in my head. I really have to make sure it doesn't come out, because it'll just make everyone hate me. But the solution is not to try to stop yourself from having the freak out thoughts. The solution is to just accept that they're gonna come and they're gonna keep coming, and just try to train yourself to catch it earlier and earlier. Catch it when you can, and lift your spirit to a higher ground. Lift your spirit up to nothing matters. Because nothing matters. We are just animals, human animals, and the earth is just a thing, a chemical reaction, physical chemical reaction. This is reality, guys. I'm giving you reality. Earth is just a chemical reaction. Nothing matters. That's the higher. Obviously things matter because you have feelings, but that comes second. This is what I'm telling you, how to get out of the freak out, and then you can start building things towards what is good for you. But if you can manage to do it without believing in it, wow, now you've got power because you can work with people. So abstract. Okay, let's watch another video. Dying to live. Live in love, not fear. It's a blast of lesson, all of this. Can I love those who have hurt me? The law of attraction and tip of the iceberg.
Hi, hope you guys are having a good Sunday.
This is all NF, it's literally hippie things. Look, she's got a friggin' salt lamp for the chakra energy or whatever, for the waves, butterflies everywhere, Buddhism. It's like classic NF.
And welcome to my Facebook Live. And let me know in the comments if there are any issues with the video, you know, if you have trouble hearing me or anything like that. So, and I'm happy to hear from you, even if there are no issues, just to say, hey, you know, I love hearing from you. So I want to start out by saying how grateful I am to all of you. I am so grateful for your feedback and everything you write to me. We had phenomenal feedback for the video that I did together with Danny, and he promises to be back hopefully next week. He's behind the scenes running things so that I can do this, so that I can take your questions and all that. But I know you guys really want him, you know, and pretty soon he'll need to have his own show. We haven't forgotten anything that he said. He started the ball rolling on something, and we're collecting all the responses we got from people who were talking about, who were really interested in what he said about support for those who support people with illnesses. I think that is so important because those people need to have their energy replenished so that they can be in good form to take care of the people they take care of. So hi, Sus Sharma. Thank you for posting. So today, the topic I have for you today is Marianne Peterson, hi, from Denmark. Thank you. The topic is the law of attraction and the tip of the iceberg. So you're probably wondering, what kind of a crazy title is that? So it's actually two little subjects, and I thought I'd put them together. And oh, hi, Shaf. Shaf Garcia says she saw Mira Kelly at the workshop today. Hey, love Mira Kelly. So thank you. Pat Wilson says she can hear me fine. Thank you. That's good to know. So anyway.
People. This person said this person said this. Isn't that kind of like the TE banner that Gray does? Like, oh, you're in the chat, I'm going to put your name on the thing. Hello to all these people. Okay, so these are my 3 coins for the moment. Greeting all the people. DE. Just an anecdote, but it's like.
Okay.
So I remember.
People sometimes write to me and say that some of the things I have said about the law of attraction doesn't quite align with what they believe about the law of attraction. So today I want to clarify my views on the law of attraction, because at the end of the day, they also say that even the healing, I attracted that healing because for whatever reason, I loved myself and I had the NDE. And so in the end, it is the law of attraction that worked for me. And yet I don't, whenever people say to me, so are you saying your thoughts create your reality? And I say, no, not necessarily. I don't like to think that way. So several times I've had people ask me or write to me and say, can you reconcile your views on the law of attraction, and why sometimes it sounds like you're contradicting them and sometimes it sounds like you're agreeing with the law of attraction. So this is what I want to start by doing. My views on the law of attraction is that we don't attract by our thoughts, we attract by who we are at any given time. So that's the first thing I want to say to clarify. I do believe there is a law of attraction at work, but we attract by who we are. And so it's not about controlling your thoughts, because controlling your thoughts makes you a little more...
Just having a thought, maybe it isn't energy, Dom, because I went very quickly just because of this one thing, not being rational, not caring about rational. She does care about reality, she just is not T about it, you know? And right here, she's, trying to clarify that this person didn't understand. She's not saying, oh, you don't understand, well, fuck you. She's saying, you don't understand, okay, well, let me help you. You don't understand, let me help you. Info. That would make her blast above consume and sleep or play last.
Contrived and controlled, and it doesn't allow you to be who you are. And when you're controlling your thoughts, you're judging your thoughts and you're being judgmental towards yourself. And so this is why I tend not to say to people, your thoughts your thoughts create your reality. Your thoughts bring you your reality. I tend not to say that. And the big reason I tend not to say that is because when I was going through cancer, at that time, the law of attraction was huge. It was something that everybody was talking about. And I cannot tell you the number of people that would say to me, you attracted the cancer. Your thoughts attracted the cancer. Negative thoughts attract a negative reality. I'm sure you've all heard that said. And so people were saying this to me, and they were teaching me how I needed to watch my thoughts. So here's what happened.
People are
I
crazy.
started to fear my thoughts. And so I became even more fearful. I became fearful of the law of attraction because I was trying to figure out, how did I attract something so horrendous? I've always believed that I am a positive person. I've always believed that I'm...
People are so out of touch with reality. Mein Gott. What the fuck? Your thoughts attracted the cancer. I am regularly taken aback, and I get a sort of a wake-up call about how stupid people are. Often, I'm really surprised at how incredibly stupid people's thoughts are. And I don't know how to handle it. I'm like, what? You think that? Your whole culture thinks that? What? Oh my god. Oh wow. This is the privilege of living in a post Enlightenment country. The United States has not gone through the Enlightenment yet. They're still so incredibly retarded, as in retardé. Comes from French. Retard means late. So they're late. And India is even later. It's because the NF is also true. NF is like correct view of the world. The way I see it is basically ST is science healing through things that physically work, and NF hastens the placebo effect. And unknowingly, you're just calling it all different things, but the placebo effect is really effective, and science has not figured out how to use it. Like there's some small factions that are like using it, and how in pharmacies you can still find placebos, like what's it called, that German medicine that's like super distilled, I can't find my words, verdund. But what's it called? Steiner medicine. Entre Rudolf Steiner. Shit. I'm not finding the word. Not antibiotic. Well, anyway, it's a placebo. It's just basically take sugar, and you, if you believe hard enough, then it helps you. Fact. So the NF world is basically trying to heal themselves with only the placebo effect. And shamans and all these people have noticed that there's something that actually works. And the science world has still not picked up on how deep it can go and how to use it to heal people. Why was I talking about that? Yeah, I know.
I'm a good person.
Oh, she was talking about the law of attraction and how believing that your thoughts attract the cancer or whatever. And it's just positive mindset. If you believe you're strong and you can make it, then you're more likely to. And if you give up, then you're more likely to just die. That's it. But some people take that all the way and say, oh, well, cancer can be generated by the mind. No, cancer is not a placebo or a nocebo. It's a physical something that happened to your body, not mindset related. Having cancer.
And I've always tried to be a good person. How did I attract this? And it made me more fearful of my thoughts. And the more I would fear my thoughts, the worse my condition seemed to get. And so I started to get really, really confused, and I went down this downward spiral of fear where I didn't trust anything I was thinking, and I would try and force myself to think positive thoughts, which meant suppressing a part of myself, which made me feel even worse. But here's the clarity I got when I was in that NDE state. It's not about my thoughts. It's about who I am. So the only thing I need to do is to be myself fearlessly. The more you allow yourself to be who you are, the more you are sending yourself the message that I love myself. There's nothing wrong with me. So allow yourself to be authentic. And when you allow yourself to be authentic and be who you truly are, you are actually telling yourself, there's nothing wrong with my thoughts. I am human.
Did you hear that, what she just said? This message transcends type. This is a message everyone needs to hear. You can be yourself and try to be in touch with your authentic self. Not trying to edit and all that. Like, yeah. allow yourself to be yourself in your mind. I don't mean act however the fuck you want. I mean accept that your thoughts are part of you and allow them to exist. After that, you can choose what to do with them. But number one is just notice them and say, okay, this is what I think, actually, factually. These are my actual thoughts. Now, if you're in a safe place and you feel like it's okay, then it might also do you good to express them and to see what happens. Allow people to not agree or to tell you, to criticize you for it. But as long as you're being honest about what your actual thoughts are, it's fine, really, unless it's dangerous. Some people live in cultures where it's dangerous to be yourself. I'm so fucking privileged. Jesus fuck. Okay.
The more I would fear my thoughts, the worse my conditions seemed to get. And so I started to get really, really confused, and I went down this downward spiral of fear where I didn't trust anything I was thinking, and I would try and force myself to think positive thoughts, which meant suppressing a part of myself, which made me feel even worse.
Listen.
But here's the clarity I got when I was in that NDE state. It's not about my thoughts. It's about who I am. So the only thing I need to do is to be myself fearlessly. The more you allow yourself to be who you are, the more you are sending yourself the message that I love myself. There's nothing wrong with me. So allow yourself to be authentic. And when you allow yourself to be authentic and be who you truly are, you are actually telling yourself, there's nothing wrong with my thoughts. I am human. Every now and then I do feel fear, but I have to allow it. Every now and then I do have a tinge of a negative thought. But if I start to judge that thought and say it's bad to have these fearful negative thoughts, I then start to fear the thoughts. And so that's actually compounding it. So anyway, I've realized the idea is really to be who I am, to love who I am. And when you love who you are, you manifest, or you allow what is truly yours to come into your life. You then don't even have to watch your thoughts because you are being yourself. You are being authentic. You are loving yourself. And the only thing you need to do is to know that you are deserving and worthy of good things. And that is what the area where you need to kind of think, okay, how can I love myself more? How can I allow myself to be more authentic? Where can I release fear? So it's not about watching your thoughts and being fearful of your thoughts. It's the other way. It's about, oh, okay, how can I love myself more? And let me clarify this even further.
She's really enjoying this blast. It's nice to watch. Like, she's really in a positive mindset, and she's sharing and she's giving, and she's like, I'm giving you something. It's wonderful. And the more I'm talking about it, the more these things I've thought about are coming out. Maybe she's just infodom and not a blast. Maybe she's just very clear and rehearsed on what she's saying, because she says it a lot. So that's taking rid of this one. Observer, yes, I'm staying on that. I kind of thinking DE, still thinking DE. DE meaning FE. And I'm getting more and more certain of clear on NF. It feels like blast play, to be honest. Or play blast. I was just thinking, maybe it's not OI, maybe it's OE, because this OI was just a one thing. Just a one time. I was like, oh, maybe she means this. But I should try to let's try to pay attention. Is it OE or OI? And as I've said, observer. This should be the biggest fear. So is her biggest freak out on control, or on seeking out, or on accepting the novelty? Is she like incapable of controlling her life and narrowing down, or is she incapable of looking for new avenues of pleasure, avenues of thought? Because it would be NE versus NI.
If somebody is going through an illness or a sickness or a negative period in their lives, I will never, ever, ever say to them, you attracted this, or your negative thoughts attracted this. That is the last thing I would say. I would never say to people, don't be so negative, or negative thoughts attracted your reality. In fact, what I would say to someone who's going through pain and hurt or confusion or fear or an illness, any of those things, I would say to them, hey, this is an invitation for you to love yourself more. This is an invitation for you to allow more good things in your life. How can we do that?
This message now, I think, does relate to type. Some people are just negative Nancy's and not grateful enough. And I feel like that is the DI side. You know, it's the complainy side. And you do attract negative things when you're being negative, and you'll be like, oh, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're being negative, downer, and then people don't want to help you because you suck, and then that proves your point about how everything is bad, and you go into a negative cycle. So I'm thinking maybe this is the DE message of you need to love yourself more. The answer is love yourself.
So in other words, instead of the focus being on your negative thoughts have attracted your reality, the focus is more on how can we love ourselves more? How can we find more joy in our lives? What are the things that make you happy? I would actually help them.
Okay, that is concentrating on positive thoughts. That's true. That's a good message. Is when someone is addicted, if you're addicted to something, the way to get unaddicted is not to concentrate on not doing that thing, but to concentrate on what you're going to do instead. That's just a classic point on how to get over any addiction. Focus on what you should do, not on what you shouldn't be doing. So that is just outside of type message.
To focus on the joy, the happiness, and on how to love themselves more so that they can be more authentic, because you attract who you really are. When you are joyful, then you allow more joyful things to come into your life. And the way to be more joyful is to love yourself more so that you're not so judgmental about your thoughts. And when you see a negative thought creeping in, you allow it. It's like, hey, it's a part of me. Let's see what it says. And then it'll leave when it's done. But when you suppress it and you say, oh my God, I have to suppress this negative thought because it's going to attract a negative reality, what you're doing is you're suppressing a part of who you are, and you're sending yourself the message that there are parts of me that are not lovable, and I have to control them, which means I cannot be authentic. And that's not the message you want to send yourself. You want to send yourself the message all the time that I am lovable, I am worthy, I am deserving, I am loved. And that's the message you want to give other people who are struggling. You never want to say, hey, your negative thoughts created this, and your thoughts create your reality. You don't want to say your thoughts create your reality when someone is going through something that's really painful or fearful.
That's probably a good point. Not if someone's fucking in a deep pit, don't want to tell them it's your fault. That is a big criticism that I have, that one should have of OP, because that's almost literally the message of OP is everything's your fault. And the thing is, it's true in a sense, but it's not a helpful thing to say. There's a framing that could make it much, much more easy to accept and to not freak out about it, to climb up to a higher level without having to transcend your ego quite so hard.
Always want to bring them to a space where they're feeling more loved. Always, always. And you're showing them that they need to learn to accept themselves more and love themselves more. That's how you shift them, not by getting them to fear their thoughts. Just remember, love is the answer to every single problem in the world. Love is the solution to everything. It really is. And thank you for your comments. Before I go into the second part about the tip of the iceberg, I just want to say hi to some of you. Margaret Saunders, thank you. She says, your words have blessed my life so much. Thank you for that. And
oh, yay, she's so happy about talking about people and helping people. That's obvious to her. Helping people is obvious. Could be OE though. She grew up Hindi and she's not like still Hindu. Hindu is the language. She's gone into Buddhism, like she sort of looked for something else, and Buddhism is a very free religion, I have to say. It's very do what you want. But that, if I'm saying play, blast, that means play, blast, consume, sleep. Is that right? Play, consume, blast, sleep? Play, blast, consume, sleep. Play, consume, blast, sleep. I'm saying that because she's not Tony Robbins. That said, someone else was play, blast, consume, sleep here. Andy Samberg. Yeah, he was big as well. He was like, wow. But that's SETE. If I'm saying she's Annie Effie, that's a kind of a different kind of extrovert.
And I just love getting comments from you. There's Margaret on the screen. Thanks for punching that up. So now that this takes me to the second question. Oh, wait, before I go to the second question, let's punch this up on the screen. Massimo Mastrangelo. I hope I pronounced your name right, Massimo. So I haven't read this question yet, so it's the first time I'm reading it. Okay, Anita, so what if you have a huge, huge desire in life? Where does this desire come from, and what should you do about it? Is it correct to try and focus on it with your thoughts, feelings, i.e. apply the law of attraction? That is a great question. So,
my answer, what's my answer? It's like law of attraction. The law of attraction is not a mystical thing. It's a one thing leads to another thing. So basically, if you're focusing a lot of energy, if you're focusing your thoughts on something you'd like, then you're going to be talking to people about this thing, and when people hear what you want, eventually someone will try to help you, because people like helping each other. So if you start telling everyone, hey, you know how you could help me? You could help me reach this goal I've said. That's how the law of attraction works in reality. So if you just stay in your bedroom and think, ooh, I want this, and don't talk about it and don't take any action, then it's not going to happen. However, if you're like me, skibby ass as I am, jumping around and saying, I want to do this and I want to do that, and or just doing lots of things but not telling anyone about it. This is my discovery of Blast. Then you're not going to get anywhere so easily because you haven't set a clear goal. If you have like 10 goals, then you're not going to manage. Then you're not going to attract the result you want. So that's why the law of attraction works.
Let me tell you my thoughts on this first. When I was going through my illness, of course, the greatest desire I had was to get well. And during that time when I had this desire to get well, I started to do vision boards. And I would, at that time, it wasn't a digital vision board. This was back in 2005. So it was actually a board, a cork board that I had purchased, and I would cut out pictures of people who were well and healthy and paste them and pin them on this cork board, which was great for a while. But when when I didn't see it manifesting in my body, I got even more fearful. And so the thing about vision boards sometimes is that what I realized later, is that when you create a vision board, when you focus on a desire, you may be limiting what is in store for you. And sometimes when you don't see your desire manifesting in the way you want it to, you start to feel fear. And when you start to feel fear, it again sets you back. You lose that place of love. What I tend to tell people is that all you have to do is just be who you are. And I'm going to tell you more about that.
She's giving a lot of tips. You know, this is how you do it. I tried it, and this is what happened. Could she be NT and discovered F? NETE? These fucking fake flowers here. Like, I put this bowl here on a shelf. The NF world so believes in like the symbolism of things, whereas if you like looking at it, I want to say looking at it like it's real, like looking at reality, you just see a block of salt and a light bulb inside, and there's ink on this and this bowl, and it's just physics. It's like dry, meaningless, literally meaningless. If you don't give it meaning, it's meaningless. I really have to learn to blast. I don't have clear-cut messages. I just have an idea and I'm incapable of communicating it.
Your question is actually going to be answered in the second part of this video, which is about the tip of the iceberg, Massimo. But because I'm so glad you asked that question, because that is the question that is part of the second part of what I designed for this video. But what I realized was that when I died and came back, I realized that the future that was actually in store for me, my higher self, my inner self, the part of me that manifested itself to be me in this life, had a destiny for me, a dharma for me, that was bigger than what I could imagine. Therefore, what I was actually putting down on that vision board was limited compared to what was in store for me. In other words, allowing my illness to manifest fully and then take me into the healing catapulted me into a different reality than what I could ever have imagined before. I hope I'm making sense, but what I'm trying to say is that right this moment, when you create your vision or your desire for your future, your vision is limited to what you can see or what you know right now. But maybe there is a future waiting for you that is greater than what you can imagine. And most of us are incapable of imagining something greater than what we currently know. And so the idea is to leave an open-ended future. And the way I leave an open-ended future is just by focusing on the now and how much how authentic I am and how fearless I am in allowing whatever the future has for me. So
I'm going to do a test for her consume versus blast. Now we're going to skip forward to 50 minutes and see what her energy level is like. Is she still blasting away, or has she started to... I'm tired.
with like-minded people who are
It's the same level.
supporting each other, we create an atmosphere where healing can take place, because what we do is we actually get in touch with the whole of us, that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sensory self that we truly are. And we are in a safe environment where we can experience it, feel it, talk about it, share with each other, so that we can know that we're not imagining it. Imagine being with people who also feel it with you, so that you know, hey, this is really true. I'm not crazy. It's just that the people who are out there, they don't see it, they don't feel it. That's why many of them are struggling. And we don't judge the people who don't feel it, because what's to judge? They're the ones, they're struggling, they're having a hard time. The way for them to actually start to believe it is for them to see how our lives change from having this experience. So at these events, I also take you through your own near-death experience. We do it through music and sound healing, and we simulate a near-death experience where we have you visualizing that you meet loved ones and that you realize what you're...
That's funny, that. Simulate a near-death experience. So she really does not care about the physical reality, factual reality of the experience. I'm saying that is masculine N. Physical link to death. Masculine N. Not ST. I mean, she couldn't be ST, could she? Okay, come on. Let's just make a guess and jump in and see what happened. I think I got a lot of elements, and so we'll see which ones were right and which ones were wrong. And okay, now I'm going to have to make my best guess, formulate my best guess. So talking about the other side. First, yeah, that was my first impression. NF. Giving details. Oh yeah, that was weird. Like, she was talking... She didn't have her conclusion up front. That would be concurrent with play, lead play. I'm thinking lead play for the moment. It is info. She's, it's a lot about, I will give you the information because it's important. F. I'd find it hard to see her as not F. Really. If even if it were a discovery, then she would still have the background of the T from the whole years of life from before she discovered the F. But this is just F all the way. So I'm saying observer, NF, play, not FI, play. And I said blast because of she's got the same level going. I just had the thought, doesn't that mean energy dom, because she's sort of regulating her energy throughout the whole thing? Nah, she's not like goofing around. I say play, blast, consume, and I'm saying double feminine. And this way of writing is now my official preferred alternative notation, and I shall make a video about it explaining why, all the different reasons why it's the best and why everyone should use it, inshallah. Okay, this is my best guess. We'll see. Let's hope I get it all wrong, so I learn so much. Decider. Is it Anita Ashland? No. Oh shit. Oops. Well, spoiled that. Anita Moorjani. Observer. Whew. Okay. Observer. N. F. DI. OI. Blast. You have to be blast. Really? Come on. That's not sleep consume. She was going on and on. Or maybe she just has like such a good baseline. Okay, let's see. So sleep and energy. So she's got such a good baseline energy balance. You know why I said infodom? Because she said, oh, some people understood that I thought this, but I don't think that, and I will explain to you what I really mean. And I have an anti-energy dom bias because Dave and Shan, from my point of view, just go all in on saying, if you don't get it, fuck you. Just my point of view. That's how I'm experiencing it. And that's kind of my experience of energy dom, is like, I don't respect info, and I don't respect you enough to help you out with understanding my info. So maybe that's why I said info dom. So this is now a lot of wrong. I got the first 3 right. Now let's see about the sexuals. Masculine S, feminine DE. So I got 4 right. Okay. One more for the books. 4 out of 10. I think my average below 5. That's great. I'm learning a lot. So my guess was observer N, F, D, E, O, E, blah, blast, play, info, feminine S, feminine D. You can go now. I'm just filling this in. I'm going to tell you who the next person is. Observer. I just like having this appear and having the score come down here. And juste, vi pravis, de I, ne de e, o I, de I, do I. So, zo, energio, vira so kai virina do e. Bone. Do kvar el dek juste bone. Jen estas la fino por mi. Morgaŭ aŭ postmorgaŭ, ĉiam postmorgaŭ, ni vidos Anna Campbell. Kiu estas ŝi? Estas... sed ĉu ne mi ĵus... Ne, tiu estis de Annie Ashland. Decider. Ok, Anna Campbell. Ino. Io pri... Cannabo. Drug addict. Ĉu mi volas spekti tiu pri Anna Campbell? Ne vere. Oh, yes. Mi pli ŝatas jam. Okay, tomorrow, after tomorrow will be Anna Edit. Anna Edit. Okay. Anna Edit. This is good. Hey, 27th. Today, what is it? The 12th video? 11th or 12th video? Pretty good. Okay, that's it for me today. Thank you for watching if you have, and take care. Bye.